Continuing our walk through the meadow, we come across some cornflowers, or as they're commonly known, bachelor buttons. This flower is quite old. It was first found in ancient Egypt in the 4th millennium BC, and they considered it a symbol of life and fertility. You'll see it on many of their friezes, wall friezes, and their pottery. And it was thought to resurrect the dead. And they know this because they found wreaths of cornflowers near the tomb of Tutankhamun. So let's get started. There's 4 dies. The larger flower says to cut 3 times, this middle section 2, and you've got a little roll up. And then you've got some leaves to cut 2 or 3 times. I'm going to do mine in the traditional blue color. So I am using one with a little bit of a violet tone to it. So this is BV 2.3, and the center I'm going to do, like I did these, and the BV 1.4. So I'm going to add that kind of purplish blue color in the center. But then I'm going to kind of just brush that darker BV 2.3 as I go out on the petal. Now you'll find these in different colors. Of course, cornflowers or blue bonnets are bachelor buttons, are noticeably in blue, but you will find them in white and also a pinkish violet color maybe, and some very light. So the main flower, or the larger flower, is in that color. And then I'm going to go ahead and color the other one of the centers in this 1.4. This will give you that nice shading that you see in some of the flowers. Some of the centers are quite dark. I mean, you'll find some really dark blue ones, which are pretty. And of course, they've been cultivated, so people grow them in their garden now. Besides finding them in the meadow, but I still like to, walk along and find the occasional bouquet of cornflowers. Originally, they were thought to be weeds because they grew in cornfields. I guess that's where they got their name. I'm going to do a little bit of shaping with this one, and I'm just going to spritz it with some water. And I'm actually going to turn it over and work with the right side down. So this is the wrong side facing me. I'm going to hold it and then just twist these little outer areas towards the center. Now, if you look at a bachelor button, it actually looks like it has little tubes. I could have done that with putting one on top of the other and creating a tube, but it would have made it really thick and probably a little harder than what this will. And this gives you the illusion of a tubular kind of petal. So it's just twisting inward as I go around, and I'm holding here at the stem with my thumb and my middle finger here. There. So on these centers, you are going to have to do some cutting. I want you to cut each one of these right down the center. You don't have to worry about those little projections. They're just like little fill-ins to make it a little fuller. But I'm cutting these right down the center. And I'm going to add a little bit of black pollen to them. Just little tips on the ends. You don't want to go too thick with the pollen because it does, these just have, it's just a finer. And I've cut this little section in half too. Oops. Move that out of the way. There. So this is where I would probably use just a plastic lid, and I'm going to use some of my Kids' Choice glue. Put a little bit on there. And the reason why I'm not, taking it from the Silly Pot, because I want to just lightly dip those ends. And then I'm going to take the black pollen, and you can see it's just lightly tipped. Oops, missed that one. I just don't want it too thick. And we'll do this on this one. I missed a little one there. And then this one gets rolled up. And again, I put it like face down, and I'm just going to I will use my little silly instrument here and paint some glue along the bottom just to roll it up. And you want to kind of fan those little filaments out. And again, I'm just tipping those ends a little bit, and that's it. That does your center. I'm actually going to shape this centerpiece first because I am going to set it into my tray here. Move some of this out of the way. So use your small ball stylus. You see, I'm using my my gluey mat here rather than the nice one that I shape on, just in case I get glue on there. And because I've still got a little glue in here, I'm going to put these two together, and I'm going to put them in the 5/8 just to set. And we're going to let that set a bit while we shape our larger petals here. Now I've got 3 done. And you're going to use your medium ball stylus just to press down and cup it in the center. And you can see when it rises up, it does look like we've created little tubes on the ends. So I've got a lovely little mat here. Let me grab my glue. Just a simple card. Added some foliage and some berries from the viburnum that was in the Winter's Grace. And I thought that'd be pretty to complete this little bouquet. And then the BetterPress quotes that comes with this set: gather courage like wildflowers. It's a nice little, especially in this day and age. But you can see they look just like, little bachelor buttons. Stagecoach drivers also wore these in their lapels. It made them it stood for being rugged, I guess. We've got this center that we did. Here on this one, I'm going to fluff them back towards the center a bit. And then you've got this little tiny one here. Put a little bit of glue right there. So the leaves are kind of a yellowish green, so I'm going to use two colors, the YG 2.5 and YG 8.5. So I'm going to lay down the 8.5 first. And rather than blending, I'm just over coloring. So then I go over with that lighter one, and it kind of changes it to a little bit more yellowish green. Not as bright as if I use just the Y 2.5, and then I'm coloring the underside. Now these don't have, they do have a stem line, so we are going to take and put them on our leaf pad here. And then using the leaf tool, just draw a line. These are right side down, right down the center. This one's a little curvy, so you can just kind of rotate it with your finger while you're drawing it down. And then because it's so narrow, I'm not going to use the pan pastels, but I will use a fine line pen just to kind of give it that little shade, that stem line. And then I use my tinier tweezers, the detail tweezers that are in your toolkit, to bend around the tip and give them some shape. There, all there is to it. Now we can bring in I like to switch to my other tweezers to hold them. And go ahead and tuck some leaves in anywhere you want to fill out. These definitely make a pretty bouquet, and the blue color is really striking, especially if you add them in with other flowers that you may want to create a beautiful bouquet with. I actually don't want that coloring my words, so I'm going to switch them around that way. I think I will add one more up there. So to finish it off, I'm going to add my little ladybug. And maybe put her right there. There we go. That is the cornflower, or as it's known, the Bachelor Button.